Boom. Boom.
Bang.
Boom.
Bam.
Bang.
Do some
Bang.
little adjustments
Bomb.
here. Welcome to the
Bang.
LC. You know, I was even going to say, can you guys not disrespect my boom? But as I thought, I was like, if I say it, that's just a guarantee they're going to do it. Maybe if I don't say anything, there's a chance. But hey, that's all part of the LC podcast. If you would have asked, I would have respected it. No, that's a funny joke.
I would have. I don't know about the other two.
They're
Grayden, you wouldn't have respected it. That's a whole lot of shit right there.
But hey, that's just a staple on our LC streams. How's it going, guys? Welcome to the podcast.
I'm hanging out.
Yeah, having a good time.
Going good.
I'm tired this morning, but you know what? That's not going to stop me from getting upset.
Did you drink alcohol last night?
Not last night. Friday night, yes, but unfortunately, I'm an old man now.
Ah, I see.
No, I don't know why I'm tired this morning. No, there's no reason, which makes it worse.
It just be like that.
Yeah.
You know. It's what coffee's for.
Amen to that. So, my first topic of the day is Call of Duty. It's Call of Duty.
Nice.
Oh, is that a Yeti mug?
I forgot mine today.
Can I turn off Jarrod's camera? No, that's not an option.
It's Call of Duty?
It's Call
what
of
about
Duty.
Call of Duty?
I want to discuss where console perks go too far, when it goes too far. Because
for the record, none of us have the new Call of Duty, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put that out there. But we haven't played it, you know.
So for a long time, Call of Duty's always done exclusive deals with Xbox or PlayStation. Usually it's you got a map pack a month early, whatever. Mm-hmm. Then with Modern Warfare, they made a mode within Spec Ops exclusive for a year. Whatever, not a big deal. But now with Cold War, they've gone more than a step forward. They've more gone 2 or 3 steps forward with this. So one of the main zombie modes is locked in PlayStation for a year. On PlayStation only, you get extra class loadouts. You get extra skips in the battle pass. You get regular extra weapon XP. You get tons more double XP. And anytime PlayStation players play together, they get plus 25% XP straight out. So that's it's now made, it's a little bit anti-consumer in my mind. If I wanted to play, it's cross-platform, and that's where I think the issue is. If I want to play with a PlayStation buddy, I can, but there's absolutely no way I can keep up with their progression. Absolutely no way with all these extra perks they get. And it's just
the part I'm concerned about is you're spending the same amount as that PS4 player. You're spending $80 or $60, and you're getting a reduced amount of content. You don't get the same amount of content that player is getting.
Well, same thing with the battle pass, right? You get extra skips. You pay the same amount of money, but you don't need to grind as much.
See, this is what I see here. The zombie map, okay.
Yeah.
It was their way of saying, here you go. Thank you for supporting us, Sony, and thank you for buying a PlayStation. But everything else is unnecessary. Literally everything else you said there is unnecessary. That'd be so I don't know, in a lot of MMOs and things like that, you can pay to get the upgraded version of the game or whatever it is. So the best way I can think about it is Star Wars The Old Republic, you can pay to have a membership, and then you get things like XP bonuses and stuff like that. But that'd be you can't do that. That you're basically saying you're basically making it so no one else wants to buy the goddamn game, right? You're making it so that they might as well have made it a Sony exclusive at this point and just said, you know what, in a year, Call of Duty Cold War will come out for Xbox.
And it's not even they're oops, we didn't mean to do this. When they announced all this, they did it in a video called the Sony Advantage trailer, in which they flat out say, quote unquote, PlayStation gives you the edge. So it's not extra perks. It's literally game-changing things. That you've gone too far, Activision.
See, I'd be curious now how much Sony's paying them in their contract.
That's what I was going to mention. I wonder if it's Sony edging this on or if it's Activision. I don't see Activision really gaining anything necessarily out of doing this.
To me, they'd be losing because it's
Right.
like, you know, they're producing more content for the same price for a different console, and that can severely deter the other console owners from buying this game because, again, no offense to Call of Duty, and we haven't played it like Erik said, so I don't know, maybe this one's different, maybe they did add a whole bunch of new things that are so cool and evolutionary that it's just like, wow, or revolutionary.
It's Call of Duty. All right, don't get too excited.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying though. It's like, it's not like if I miss one round of Call of Duty, I've missed out on Call of Duty, right? Like you know, it's not a game that changes a ton per game being released. So to me, if you came up like that, deterred me almost altogether. Like I was already on the edge about getting it because I'm just like, I'm not as into Call of Duties anymore. We play occasionally together, but it's not. I don't know. I haven't been into it for quite some time. The Warzone was one of the few exceptions, but you didn't have to buy the game to get Warzone. Warzone was a free to play product. So it's like, to me, that's almost that pretty much has 100% determined or deterred me from buying the new Call of Duty. Because why am I going to buy it if I'm already fucking set back? I'm already put behind from the very beginning, right? So it's like. Like I already would fall behind because I just don't have enough time to put in the same amount of time as some of the people that play that game that get to like first prestige in the first day it's released. But still, I think that's gonna. I mean, I feel like it'd negatively impact Activision, but knowing consumers these days and it's a Call of Duty title, it probably won't impact them negatively too bad.
I'm wondering how many, like, is this, obviously the Call of Duty market is huge, but is there enough die-hard Call of Duty players to make this a worthy move?
Like on Activision's part, you're saying? Like
just in general, like I know a lot of casual. Granted, I know a lot of casual guys who play sports games and Call of Duty, and that's all they play. But I don't think that would be enough for them to just switch entirely to a different console, just for bonus and Call of Duty.
That's, to me, that's the point, right? Like they're almost putting all their eggs in one basket, assuming that PS5 is going to. Like you said, Peter, you think that PS5 is going to outsell Xbox Series X. Fair enough. But is it going to outsell in such a large margin that it's going to be enough for a game like this to benefit that much from it? I don't think so, right? Like you're going to see a small gap difference. If there was a large gap difference, you would not have seen the same demand online for ordering for both consoles. You would have seen one console dominate heavily and the other console still be a little bit rough off the start.
Well, maybe, but I think there's enough fanboys at launch for both platforms that it's going to be sold out regardless.
I just don't think that it's a smart move. I'm with Grayden. I think they're just putting it all in at one basket, saying that PS5 is going to have enough people that are going to buy Call of Duty. Like, I don't know, when you buy it. So the biggest argument for people buying a PlayStation 5 is its exclusives, right? Like almost everyone I talk to, they're like, such amazing exclusives. I'm not buying a PS5 to play Call of Duty. But right? See,
I think PlayStation I think PlayStation paid Activision extra this is just extra icing on top. Like, oh, you like Call of Duty? You can progress even faster now. And
could this be almost is it possible? Is it possible it's kind of that leaning, maybe PlayStation is trying to push them to become an exclusive?
There's no way.
Call of Duty would never become an exclusive. Activision's so big.
Yeah, Activision
that
Blizzard,
to remove
you don't think that Sony could buy them?
Nintendo market would be so the sales that Activision probably got from Crash Bandicoot and Spyro Trilogy alone on the Switch is probably huge. It'd be so stupid for them to have any exclusivity deal with Sony, I think. Because Activision's top 3 publishers, Activision Blizzard. So you can't see it happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a dumb move. You never saw that. Like I said, the zombie map exclusive, fine, right? Pick the one big thing that you're going to be like, this is postponed temporarily, because it'd be no different than, like you said, when it used to be the the zombie map packs would be delayed a year for Sony people when it was an Xbox, or when they were partnered together. So but like everything else is just unnecessary. You're essentially, it just doesn't make any sense based on what they're doing to me. Like it makes people, it deters people from the other consoles to get the game.
On the subject of PlayStation buying Activision, so in 2019, ZeniMax made about $500 million, and they were bought for how many billion of dollars. Activision made a solid $6.4 billion in 2019. So there's a.
So they'd almost have to it'd be like an $18 billion buyout, essentially.
Easy.
Yeah. I'm just thinking like multiply it by 3 and go from there, if not more. So
does Sony have that kind of cash? I don't think they do.
I mean, it would turn into a thing. Like they could probably formulate the cash, but it turns into a thing where it's like, is it enough of a turnaround for them to do it? Because that's what it comes down to, right? Like it comes down to, do you think if you're paying this much for the company, can you make that and way more money back afterwards? It's not really about the initial payouts, because usually it's paid in increments. It's not usually that they just drop immediately. Here's this shit ton of money. Here's this suitcase.
I thought the big check came out, and they were like,
"Here you go."
Like usually buyouts are in stages. Usually they're like, okay, we're going to spend X amount of money per year, and we're buying you out slowly. That's why it wasn't like Xbox was immediately like, hey, Bethesda's ours, fuck you guys, or ZeniMax ours. It's like it takes time to go through that process. They can announce it and get an agreement that they're doing that, but it can take time after that before they start really pushing through with it. But I don't know. I just don't see it as a good move on Activision's part. That, like I said, that completely deterred me. Like I was already deterred to begin with, because I just didn't know if I wanted another Xbox or another Call of Duty right now. There's other games I'm looking that are coming out that I'd rather spend my money on. So
the way I think exclusivity deals should be done is kind of the way Xbox has almost seemingly been doing it, where like it's kind of on the topic, like Bungie's kind of come back to Microsoft in a way, with Destiny being fully available on Game Pass. Like that's another that's the way I kind of like exclusives, is on Xbox. If you pay for this program, like you get all of Destiny, you get every aspect of it now, and you get like all these other games. And I forget where I was going with that, but
Well, what if you did something similar to what you're saying, Eric? But it's like you have to buy the base game, but all the if you have Game Pass or you have Microsoft Online, you get the DLC.
Yeah,
you see, Game Pass is doing the opposite. Like I think they let you play the game. If you like it, then you buy the DLC to get more. Like I know what I thought the Outer Worlds DLC was included with Game Pass, and I was like, oh no, I have to buy it. Oh boo.
Well, I think that because PlayStation's Play, I guess, is their equivalency of Game Pass or something. It's something along
called.
that.
Yeah.
It used to be PlayStation Plus, but I think they changed it to something else.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like, when you look at reviews between the two of them, they're not like, Game Pass is definitely on a level that, like, you can tell that Microsoft has put. They've really been like, this is what we are going for. We are going for, here, have all these games you can play, have these advantages of playing them for just this low price monthly kind of thing, and go from there. Whereas Sony's emphasized more of like the single big titles that you have to pay for and buy and get on the console. And I mean, they each have their advantages, right? But if Microsoft, like, I'm a firm believer in thinking that if Game Pass continues to grow the way it does, and Microsoft starts getting more exclusives on that, now that they have Game Pass kind of pushed, and like Game Pass is known, lots of people like it. I think if they start emphasizing more exclusives on their platform, now that they have the platform out there, I bet you in the next couple years you could see a transition. Like it's the PlayStation 5, like Peter said, I kind of agree that it's going to sell more off the top because it's got the most exclusives and it's got the most push in that direction. But I think that now in the next few years you might see more people transitioning over if Microsoft and Xbox go about it in the right way and they get those exclusives and they kind of draw people in towards their services instead of
like Microsoft already has 15 million people paying for Game Pass. That's a big number of people. They can do a lot
because like
with that.
15 million times, what is it, 1780 a month roughly?
That's just like oh my god, guys. Want to become famous? Buy followers, primes, and viewers? Guys, we can become famous. Sorry.
So just
yes.
They keep offering this. They're so nice to us. So this is just like a rough number. So with 15 million people paying for Game Pass, Xbox makes $267 million a month just from Game Pass alone.
It's the Netflix model. It's literally the Netflix model.
It's a brilliant model.
Mm-hmm.
So
and like you said, Peter,
in 12 months. In 12 months, if they stay consistent, they make $3.2 billion from just Game Pass. That is it'd be 3 billion, 3.2 billion roughly, a little bit more than that. It's like 3,204,000 or 4 million. That's a crazy amount of money.
It's going to be Game Pass is going to be the Trojan horse of this console generation.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. If they can start getting some big name exclusives for Microsoft,
they have Crackdown 3 on there. Don't forget about that.
I mean, people can say what they people can say what they want about because that isn't Crackdown 3. Did that come with EA?
No, it was.
Or was it on there already?
2 years ago.
It's one of those development hell games.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But like, if they get more like big title exclusives, like say Elder Scrolls 6 does come exclusive, Bethesda's almost basically said that that's what they're looking at. Like they were talking about how it's like they're not going to make everything exclusive, but there's a chance that quite a bit of their stuff's going to become Xbox exclusive. And I mean, I know that people are pissed that Skyrim keeps getting ported to different consoles, but people keep buying it in absurd amounts, in absurd numbers. Otherwise, they wouldn't do that. They would not port a game that people are not buying for just to port it. So it'd be, I mean, if they bring out like Elder Scrolls 6, they bring out, say Starfield does super well, it lands and hits on the mark, then you're looking at some big titles. And ZeniMax has enough companies under them that if they get big exclusives from their companies too, and I mean, EA Play just shows the partnership that EA and Microsoft have, which means, again, look at the possibility for the exclusives there. Like, then you have companies like BioWare, you have companies like DICE. Like, you have huge companies that are partnering with Microsoft right now that you could see, if Microsoft and them, if the partnership's strong enough, you could see some extremely big name exclusives come to Xbox.
EA partnering with Microsoft is super interesting to me because EA was already doing their own version of Game Pass. And so it must have not been doing what they wanted to combine with Game Pass. Well,
to me, what that shows,
very interesting.
To me, that shows is that they tried to compete with Game Pass and acknowledged that they couldn't compete with it.
You can't beat them.
That's what it shows me, and that's why I said, like, that's a big move. Like, I think that move kind of went more or less under the radar in terms of how big it actually is for like those two companies coming together like that, because that's a major. That's like, they didn't buy EA, but that's a heavy partnership to have with EA. Like, regardless of EA's reputation on whether they push out games too fast or do whatever, people buy their games regardless, and they have a lot of companies that they own that make titles that people really like. So I feel like that was almost a bigger move than even the Bethesda ZeniMax buyout.
I wonder how quickly we'll get new EA games added to Game Pass now.
Almost do like yeah.
Because it's not going to be at launch. I would be beyond surprised if we got EA games at launch.
There'll be the occasion.
No, but they'll do the discount thing that they do for you when you had EA Play. I bet.
Yeah.
If you have Game Pass, because when you had EA Play, you'd get like $10 off new games, which was decently good, right? Like, I mean, that puts now based on what you guys are telling me earlier, how games are now costing $90 to buy, it'll push it back down to the $80 that you'd usually pay for right now. So I don't know. I think there's enough benefit there. Like, as long as they bring that over, then you'd see like some benefit towards it. I agree. I doubt they'll launch EA games on Game Pass for free, but I could see them discounting it for people who have Game Pass and have an Xbox.
Well, because Game Pass already does that. Like they give you like X amount off if you have Game Pass of certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's really good pricing that they give you for certain games when you go to look how much it is when they're about to take it off.
Nice.
So I don't know. I think the I forget what game it was, but there's a game it was Deus Ex that Deus Ex, sorry, Deus Ex, whatever. They gave me like, I think it was like $20 off that game to buy it when it was going to leave Game Pass, which was a lot considering that game already wasn't a super big, large amount of money. But that's the reason I bought it, was because it was so much on discount. So
Microsoft cares about their base. Like, we see.
But I just think I don't know. I think that right now PS5 looks like the better console, but I think that the opportunities that Microsoft's building, it's a slower build, but I think they're building more for the future instead of just for like now.
Yeah.
Like Sony is too, but they really emphasize we are launching with exclusives. That's really all we got.
Yeah, I think PlayStation really doubled down on the new factor. Like, look, this thing's white. It's modern looking. Like, this is. I think they wanted to get the impression across that it was future technology. That is the newest technology. That's the vibe I get out of it, at least. And they want to reflect that with their games.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think you'll see Xbox start taking back the consoles, or not, I guess, numbers. I think you'll see larger sales throughout the lifespan of the Series X versus the lifespan of the PS5. I bet you see a large like surge in the beginning for PS5 just because exactly what you said, Peter, that new factor. But I bet you the Xbox Series X will maintain its status longer.
Drew had a good idea. Want to become famous? Just make an OnlyFans. Easy.
Who had it? Whose idea was that?
You guys don't already have one?
Drew, you know what? I'm actually part of Eric's OnlyFans. I'm his number one fan. Yeah.
Yes. He's my only
so
fan.
much. That's how they should have done that platform. Like, only one person will get that content, and whoever pays
like
the most.
Stupid amount of money. Yeah.
They are your
auction. It's a bidding system. Every single year you bid, you have a bidding pool, and it's like whoever gets into the OnlyFans.
It's like a fantasy draft.
My goodness.
I'm gonna create the opposite of OnlyFans. I'm gonna create Only Haters, where people can go and specifically hate on you.
It's Twitter. Like enter a live call with them, yell at you and berate you.
Pretty much, yep.
That's, you know what? If they want to pay me, that's fine. I can just tune out for a while.
Just fucking ignore it. Just be like, yeah, go for it.
No, you have to stand there and you have to take it. Stream only.
No, you didn't specify that.
Yeah, I haven't written up the contract yet.
No, I'm taking this as like a premature thing. I'm gonna get it before you write the contract, and then I'm gonna stipulate the contract.
Jarrod writes his own rules.
Yeah.
Only Haters.
Only Haters is just Reddit, apparently, according to Drew.
Just I was gonna say any gaming social media group is Only Haters.
Yeah.
I was saying to Eric that I don't like every gaming group I was on Facebook with. I left because it was just so annoying. Like every fucking argument was them arguing over whether which game is better and with very useless arguments. And then I joined the Mandalorian Facebook page, like their main one. And I was like, oh, you know what? This is a bit risky because, new episodes come out and people talk about shit. But the page did make it so that if a new episode came out, there's a 2-day, you cannot post about it. Otherwise, it's an automatic ban and they'll remove it and all that kind of stuff. But it's such a supportive community. A guy posted a picture the other day that he drew of like different Mandalorian characters. And, it wasn't the best. Like, it's one of those things where it's like... you're not an artist, but it was cool. But the group was so supportive. He was like, rate this out of 10. They were all like, oh, awesome picture. Of course, they always that group's full of the "this is the way" saying. So there's a lot of people that said that. But it was just really cool to see that because I've been a part of so many like gaming social media groups that were just attack each other. Like no one just was like, oh, you know what, that's good work for you, good job. But it was yeah. Fucking people hate the gaming community is very toxic.
Yeah.
The entire internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Social media is a horrendous but good thing at the same time. It's a beast.
Nah, it's just a waste.
Grayden, you're on social media. You Snapchat.
Not very often. Yeah.
That's like one of the larger social medias.
It's only social media if Grayden says it's social media.
No, I look at Snapchat differently because like I'm not constantly bombarded with other people's shit. It's just whenever anyone bothers to send something directly to me. I'm not scrolling through like, oh hey, Jimmy's engaged now. I don't give a fuck. I don't care.
Yeah, but they do that in the stories, and if you go over to the
I don't look at that.
But you don't have to do that with other social media. You could just wait till
you don't have to scroll at all. Yeah, because I like, for example, on my Twitter, I have like 4 things and some friends that I'll get to send me notifications. Everything else, I have notifications off for it. I don't even look at.
That sounds like too much work. You had to turn something off?
It's literally... No,
I want this.
No.
You can do
you
that?
Don't have to,
no, I don't want that.
Grayden, you don't have to turn anything off. You literally, when you go to follow them, you have the option to get notifications.
Yeah, but why am I going to follow them? I don't care.
Oh, because I follow a lot of like tech groups, so if I need to find something, I can go find them. But otherwise, I don't look at them.
That's what the internet's for. Just Google it.
But that's so much more effort. I could just go to one place and get all of them at once.
That's the best like answer. I love that. Just I don't fucking care, man. I don't. This isn't worth my time.
It's really not.
Oh man.
So speaking of the new consoles, you guys hear how they both apparently may have a couple problems with them?
Well, wasn't the PlayStation having a thing where they had to factory reset in order to fix it? It was like a queuing issue or something like that?
You'd queue a game for download, and it just like flat out wouldn't work, and the only way to fix it is to reset the whole console. Yeah,
factory reset. That's super unfortunate. That's annoying.
Do you have to do that regularly or just once?
I think it's anytime it happens. Like, it can happen with any game, and anytime it happens, you have to factory reset it. Erik died. He was so shocked by the news that we just brought him.
And the Xbox is smoking.
No, that was proof false.
That's such a dumb thing. I was saying this to Erik last night. It irritates me. It makes me angry. Here I am. I want an Xbox Series X. I want to play it. I want to treat it well. And then you have some fucking dummy that goes and is like, oh my god, it's smoking. What a dummy. Like,
I'm going to go out, buy an Xbox, buy a vape into it, and offer to sell it for Jarrod for $100 less retail price.
No, it has to be at least half price in order for me to buy it after that.
Oh, yeah. But it's got
at least that's the minimum. I don't need
Jerry, it smells like watermelon.
my Xbox. Listen, I can put a freaking I can have my scent thing over there, diffuser. I'll put my diffuser on one side, my Xbox on the other, and then I can smell all the pretty watermelon smells I want. I don't need someone to vape into my Xbox and then sell it to me. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard someone do. You know what? I honestly hope it wrecked it, and then they went to be like, "Hey, it didn't work," and then they're like, "Fuck you! You voided our warranty by doing that shit." I hate people. They irritate me. They make me mad.
A real problem the Xbox does seem to have is something to do with the disk drive. Apparently,
Interesting.
Like there's like lots of videos on Twitter of like people trying to put it in the disc and it just flat out won't accept it as if there's something in it, or like you put the disc in and it won't work, or a lot of them are making a weird like clicking sound, like as if every time it whirls it like hits something, so it's like tick, 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 tick. It's like
That's good for the disc.
that. So we'll see what happens. Microsoft was like, yeah, email support if you want.
Well, they'll fix it, right? Like, there's issues, but they will fix them.
I just don't know how these things happen. Don't they test them?
I don't understand that either. But I you know, it comes down to those things. So like, I guess that a comparison could be like when you have companies that monitor food products, for example. So like, there's like different certifications you can get. Like, I'm just trying to speak in like scope of practice that I know. I don't know technology, how they monitor their shit. But like for supplements, for example, so like take like a vitamin B supplement, you can have something called, there's like the different certifications and they do different things. So there's one called Informed Choice and Informed Sport. What they do is every product is tested. So every single container from a company is tested by them to make sure it holds up quality standard. But then you can have some other certifications where they'll test one of the products and the rest of them go out just because the one product cleared. So I feel like maybe that's where it comes down to, where it's like they test them, but they don't test every single one to make sure it works. They test like, they'll make a bunch of them, they'll test one of them, and then they'll send them out, kind of thing. Maybe that's how they do it. I don't know how they do it in the if they do like each one.
But they surely have to do stuff like that. Like,
yeah, I just it's shitty because it's like, I mean, it also comes down to where their computer parts are coming, or where their parts are coming from, right? Like, it could be a part manufacturer's defect that didn't get caught. It's unfortunate because that's a big issue for them. But like, if you get a bad, because when you build a PC, for example, you can have a part fail, right? When you buy it, even though the PC, like, you put it in fine, you installed it, it worked for a little bit, and it can fail pretty quickly. So it's I guess it's just one of those unfortunate things. I honestly will say this though, it's better to be a disk drive is way easier to is one of those things where it's like, you know, you replace it and it's gonna work, right? Hardware issues can be a little more tricky depending on what the issue is.
How many people are really using a disk drive these days anyway?
I haven't in a while for my Xbox.
Like, unless you're watching a Blu-ray movie or something, like with Game Pass and everything, like, everything's digital.
Yep.
That's one of the like, because I use my Xbox for so much. I use it for movies. I use it for everything. Though, I mean, a lot of streaming services have kind of voided my desire to buy movies like I used to. But I don't know. Like, for me, the disc drives for all these games that I do have still. That's why I'll get one with the disc drive, because I have games here that I would use the disc drive for.
Isn't the Xbox fully backwards compatible all the way?
Yeah, no, and that's why I said, like, I have some games up here that I bought hard copies for that I'd still like to play with those hard copies.
Isn't there also I'm pretty sure there's a team at Microsoft that's dedicated to going back and, like, not remastering, but like reconfiguring games, enhancing, to be put on Game Pass for that reason, so you don't need the disc.
Yeah, fair, but until that time comes.
I get that, but they're just going through their entire library. Like, what a job that is.
If I could,
I feel like it'd be more like if they decide that a game's not worth it for them, right? But you really enjoyed that game. I feel like that's when the disc comes in handy.
No, if I could.
There's some other things though. Like the only reason the Series S was so much less than the Series X is because there are like other hardware, like a disc drive. A disc drive does not change $200 of a console,
What are you
right?
talking about?
Or more than that. It was like $300 for the console off with the disc. They had less, like the graphics card was weaker because they have to optimize to get to 4K, right? Like it can run it at 4K, but it's one of those upwards optimizations. Whereas like the Series X, they could upward optimize. Well, it runs at 8K, so they could technically upward optimize up to like 12K if that ever becomes a thing. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing things up there, but they have room to push it further than it currently can go.
Back in my day, I only had 4K, and you kids out here with your 64K.
No, I don't know. It to me is just an easier fix. Like you could even technically do that yourself if you're computer savvy, but it would void your warranty on the whole console. So at that point, you might as well just here, give me something new or fix it for me.
God, I went to take apart my Xbox One to clean, and I need like exclusive screwdrivers. Are you kidding me, Xbox?
No, because my computer kit, I can take mine apart.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like you just have to get one of the kits that has like the severe like good variety in order to do it. Like I have some screwdrivers that literally are so specific to like such small tiny screws that it almost doesn't even look like there's an end on it. Like it looks like just a metal
rod.
Yeah. So cuz like when my razor fell apart, my mom's computer toolkit didn't have the right size for it, so I got one because the screws in the bottom were just falling out. So I was like, that's great. So I had to take them out and put Loctite on them and then put them back in. And it's just it's very specific. Apparently, there's a cool little just kind of thinking about talking about taking apart your Series X. There's apparently a cool little Easter egg inside the Series X that if you take apart the back, there's like the Master Chief helmet inside, like engraved on a few things in there. So that's pretty cool.
Nice. That's what they did like with the Scorpio edition of the Xbox One X. They had Master Chief riding a little scorpion right on the motherboard.
Yeah, like it's nice to see those little things they do, but
right. We threw this in, but don't look at it yourself, otherwise your warranty is void.
I've actually been because I took my Xbox when my Xbox started doing that overheating thing. I took apart the bottom and just to see like if there's dust in there that I could remove or anything. And it's pretty clean. It's pretty impressive that I haven't cleaned that thing once, besides like blowing air in through the vents occasionally. That it doesn't get very dirty inside, and that surprises the shit out of me, considering if it pulls air through there so often.
With time, maybe it's just because I keep my console on my coffee table now, but I've noticed I think it's starting to get louder. I think the fan's starting to get a couple pieces of dust in it, so I want to take her apart.
Well, it's like my PC here. I have to take that glass piece off so I can like go inside and clean everything out. But this is much easier. You just take the bottom off, and you're just like, because that one you also have to like pull the back off on my PC in order to clean out some of the stuff back there, as where the fans pull air in. So it's not too bad. I've definitely taken a seat back and was like, because I want to, like I've told you guys, I want to upgrade my PC a few things. Nothing like major graphically or anything. It's just I want to increase this SSD, and I want to increase because my SSD is pretty small for my PC. Like it's only a 250, I think, SSD. So I'd like to upgrade that to just a terabit. It doesn't have to be one of the higher end ones, just a decent terabit hard drive, because if I'm going to start doing some gaming off PC, which isn't going to be a lot, I like my PC for gaming, but I still prefer my console. Like, I don't know, I've just gamed so much on my console. I'll only play PC games that are PC exclusive or that I know will perform better for me on PC. But yeah, Is there any other issues that came forward with any of the consoles, or was it just the disk drive and the queuing? Because the queuing is the only one I saw. I didn't even hear about the disk drive one.
That's all I heard about. The smoke we talked about. Xbox Live was down briefly on the launch day for the Xbox, but other than that, I haven't seen anything.
It was, because I was trying to log on my console and I couldn't get on to play anything.
Yeah, people like weren't able to like launch games. Like I know a bunch of people trying to launch the new Assassin's Creed, and they're like, thanks, Microsoft, can't play this single player game because your services.
I couldn't even log into my account on my Xbox. It was just like my console was just like, no, I'm rejecting you as a member of my console. I was like, well, the one thing I was going to talk about is like, you know how people do the game sharing, right? Like we do it amongst friends. We'll do that family share thing. Is it still a thing for the new console, or is they have? Oh, it is.
There's
okay.
no UI updates. The whole system's all the same. You just gotta you just gotta update your home console. You know.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, because I was talking to Erik about this the other day, and I was like, whoa, could that complicate things? Because a lot of us have paired up with someone who is either equivalent interest in the same games or something along those lines, who we can benefit. And if that got taken away, that's a lot of games. Like Grayden and I have probably 50% of the most recent games we bought, we split. Like we'll just alternate back and forth. That'd be half of our recent library, basically. We'd have to repurchase.
Rip. Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah, imagine you, Peter. You'd have like the one game you bought last year, and then that's it.
I'd be like, well, Erik, please.
Erik, buy it again.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, no, it's I am excited about playing on the new console. Like I am genuinely excited. Did you hear like one of the biggest comments that someone was making was I was looking at a reviews just because I was just curious what people were giving the reviews on day one having the console. One of the guys was like, "There's absolutely no difference between the Series X and the Xbox One X," and I was like, there's literally a list of specs. I can put them side by side if you want.
He's probably talking about like the UI and stuff.
No, but he said at all. Like he gave it a 1 star out of 5, purely saying he's like there's zero difference. This console is nothing.
Did he just boot it up, see the home screen, was like, all right, this is the same, off.
I feel like, you know what I feel like it is? I feel like it's someone who just goes on and gives reviews. I'm sure there's people like that on both sides where they're like such diehard like PS5 or Xbox fans that they're like, I'm gonna go to the other consoles review page and give it a shit review just because I feel like doing that.
Oh,
It's like I was looking at the TVs too, and I was looking at, because Grayden, you got a new OLED TV, and I was looking at them because they're on sale everywhere. Like at Visions, you can get the same TV you got for like $1,400. At Best Buy, you can get it for like, I think that the next generation. I was talking to Peter about this because there's like Gen 2s that are super on sale right now, but then there's the Generation 3s, which I don't know enough about TVs to be like, oh, this is the difference. But anyways, you can get them for quite a bit of a discount. And there's a review like on Best Buy's site. There's like 400 reviews for this TV. Almost all of them are 5 or 4 star reviews, and there's this one star review. And I go down to it, and I read what he has to say, and he's like, "Oh, first complaint, he had screen burn after 2 years of having it." If you look at any of their warranties, manufacturer, store warranties, they all say if you have screen burn, bring it to us, and we'll fix it or replace it. Like, done. End of statement. They'll deal with it. Number 2, he was complaining because he's like, it doesn't work well with my home theater system. And I was like, there's something called compatibility, right? Like I can't, you need like the DC outputs, for example, is a great one. So they have the new DC outputs that look like the HDMI port, but they're got one slant instead of 2.
Yeah.
Or you can have the old school one where they have like the 10 prong and you have to like screw it into the back of something in order to make it work, right? I can't have something that runs off that if I have a newer generation thing. Like when you buy stuff, the whole point is you're supposed to be like, is this compatible with X?
Well, even if you do fuck up like that, you can buy adapters. Like there's solutions.
But he's like it doesn't work well. The sound doesn't sound right. I was like, the TV doesn't dictate your fucking sound coming from your home theater. Your home theater dictates the sound from the TV, not the like. The review was so stupid. I was reading it and I was like, my brain is like, I felt bad. They like Best Buy. It was on Best Buy's website. They responded to it and they were like, hey, we'll fix this. Come in and we'll deal with it. And it was like. It was like, man, you guys are nicer than I would have been. If someone came up to me and they complained about a user error like that, I'd be like, okay, I'll teach you how to do it, but I'm not going to replace this for you.
I was telling you guys a while ago, I was reading something about the new Xbox, and there are like pros and cons to each thing. Like what we like about the new Xbox, what we don't like about the new Xbox. And what I had under what we like is the controller. Same controller, perfect controller. We've always liked this, don't change what it isn't broken, And then under the cons, but it's the same controller. I mean, nothing new about it. It's like, what do you complain? I don't understand.
Well, that's the thing. It's like
both categories.
Xbox has always been known to have really good controllers. Like from, I'd say the Xbox, like the original Xbox onward. Like PlayStation up until PS4 had really compact controllers for people, so it really appealed if you had, I guess, smaller hands to fit the controller. But like the Xbox controller seems to work with everyone that uses it. Like it's just a good fit. It feels good in the hands. I'm kind of on that page. I don't need a extraordinarily new design for a controller.
It's all about like I want to feel like it's new. I want to feel like I just spent $600. Why did I like? I don't think.
So how do you make it feel new?
So PlayStation, what they done is their adaptive triggers, which seem really interesting. I don't know how familiar you guys with it, but like essentially the example I saw that made a lot of sense was like in Call of Duty, where obviously it takes different amount of time to pull up a pistol to aim versus a rocket launcher. So your controllers will give you more resistance based off like what you're doing. Like it'll make more time to pull out that rocket launcher, and firing it will feel more weighty than firing a pistol would. And it's just small. Like they could have kept the general design, but implemented stuff like that.
I have a question then, because one of the complaints was like games are costing more. Wouldn't that be one of the reasons games are costing more? Because the game would have to the game would have to put that in it for the controller to adapt to it. So you're making them put more effort into something, and it's going to cost more. So games are going to cost more.
They don't have
because they have to add these little things.
What about them having to now do 4K? Like you can't. Like that's just them keeping up with times.
But an image adapter versus like
programming. I get it. Oh, yeah.
That's a very big difference for like how much work it takes to put into that one thing.
And
but that's what I'm saying. Like if you add things to the console, the game companies have to adapt to that. And I get it's adapting with the times, but so is increasing prices. That is adapting with having to put more work in. That's like me, Peter, saying, I want you to put more work in, but I want you to charge me the same amount of money.
That's real. That statement angers me. Because that's what people want.
It's true.
But okay. What about the PlayStation 4 launch? They wow, you got a touchpad on a controller. Woo!
Isn't that was PlayStation 4 as well?
That's what I'm saying. The PlayStation 4. That's where they first implemented that. And so then the first launch of games, there's a couple that implemented that pretty well. No increase in price. Then going forward with time, just games generally didn't do a lot with it. So even if it's not implemented maybe to the maximum, like I still want that new factor. My ape brain needs to be like shiny, new, unfamiliar.
See, to me it would irritate me if I bought something and it had this gimmick. Like it had this gimmick. If it wasn't consistent throughout games, I'd be like, this is a useless gimmick.
My ape brain.
Like, to me,
let me ask you something else, Peter. Because like another thing I heard about the PS5 controller is it's vibrations.
Yeah,
like you can really like if you're walking on snow versus if you're walking on stone, it feels different. Wouldn't that annoy you?
Well, yeah, actually, yeah, I would to an extent. Like, Game Pass just added some Tetris game on Game Pass. because I tried it out. I like Tetris, and I was playing it. I'm like, holy fuck, my controller is going nuts. What the fuck is happening? Can you stop it? I'm just trying to play the fucking game. But I still want new features like that. I still want to be able to launch up the boot games that take advantage of this technology and be like, wow, that is cool. This feels like a new controller. This feels like the new generation.
To me, I'd rather instead of adding like a whole bunch of new features, I'd rather they improve on the features they have. So like, I'd rather, you know how like Elite controllers, you have whatever the triggers you can put on them and stuff like that. Find a way to incorporate that so like you can make things more sensitive or less sensitive on your controller. Like adjust the controller, not the like add some things, because they put out the new generation of Elite controller. Have something that the current normal controller doesn't, but then bring some of those features to the current controller. The thing for me is like, I'd rather them bring features, and like I don't need them to put extra work for the companies making me games. Like I'd rather the company be able to like just make the game and make it a really good game, and some of those extra programming features can make it a fucking nightmare for companies to make a game to utilize features like that. And sometimes like we've seen it in the past where they'll put a feature that's absolutely butt fuck useless just to utilize a feature of something. Right? So it's like to me, I'd rather the control, like they change the design slightly enough that you could see the difference. I like things looking sleek, but I'm also in the case where it's like I don't need a ton of new things. Make the analog sticks more, like make them adjustable, make them give some extra features there. Make the controller adjustable to the person, not the game. Having triggers that adjust to how much I pull a gun, I don't want that shit. I'm not playing Call of Duty to be realistic with how I'm pulling the goddamn trigger. I don't have a mouse that resists my finger when I'm pulling a trigger in Call of Duty on PC. I don't need shit like that.
I like. You know, fuck, what was my...
Peter,
damn it, I had an argument. Fuck, what was
if you want, you can have all this. You can have all of this. It's just with Xbox, you have to get the Elite controller.
No, I'm not buying another Elite controller. Absolutely.
I'm saying it's all there for you. No, everything you want, it's all there. The Elite controller
is nice. Not even the sticks on the back. It's the whatever the fuck they did with the thumbsticks.
This beautiful little beast right here has lasted since my first Xbox.
Okay,
it's not a new child.
The new one.
It is. They got rid of the little indent here.
They added a single button, and they added some stuff around the D-pad. Is that a new design?
They have some texture on the back too.
They have a new texture on the back. Peter, they also. I'm trying to get this so you can see it.
Jarrod, I can't see it, Jarrod.
Okay, you see how it has this little indent? Okay, the new controller doesn't have that indent.
Whoa! Really?
Hey, that's a different design.
Oh, indents! Holy shit, dude!
Hey, it's proven fact that contours can change how appealing it is to the eye.
You know, okay, the texture, whatever. Fuck it. I don't care. I don't really give a shit about the texture. I'm gonna get the controller. I'm gonna fucking leave it around in the living room. It's gonna get blended in with another black controller, and I'm barely gonna notice.
So then why would you care about the other controller? Why do you want something impacting how you play the game?
It's not even that. I just want a new factor. I want to be wowed. I want to feel like the $600 I spent is worth it. I want to feel like this is the new console generation. I don't want to feel like it's the Xbox One X.2.
Okay, well I'm gonna lay this out for you right now. There's only so much you can do with a controller versus VR. VR is the next step in everything.
Why are we talking about VR?
No, the point I'm trying to put to you is
we're talking about apples. You just brought out a fucking watermelon. Get the watermelon out of here.
You're not listening to what I'm trying to say here. I'm trying to say that they're
both green.
Like, I don't need my controller to pretend that it knows how sensitive a gun is. I don't need my controller vibrating to show me that if I'm walking through gravel, this is how I would vibrate walking through gravel. And if I was walking through snow, this is how I would vibrate walking through snow.
We should just never change the controller if it works then. We should just, whatever. Yeah. We don't need...
what?
Okay, so is EA copy and pasting games okay too then? If they can't improve anymore, then...
That's very
But I mean, it works. It's why change it? If it works, people are buying it. There's no need to improve. Why even bother thinking about potential improvements? Why try anything when people will just buy the same thing we've
Peter, you're
done?
going... So remember that watermelon you had all the way out here?
Yeah,
here's
the VR watermelon.
Here's my Apple, the controller. Here's your EA makes shitty games watermelon.
Watermelon is VR, Jarrod. Jarrod, they're two completely different things.
Here's my pumpkin. Here's my pumpkin.
Peter. Last generation, I bought both an Xbox and a PS4.
Yes.
I played them both a
Yes.
decent amount. Xbox, obviously, way more. The gimmick of the swipe thing on the PS4 was cool for a game, and then I never used it again.
But see,
and then it was just a regular controller again.
That's fine
because
though.
they had that before. If you could get third-party controllers on that for the PlayStation 3 that had very similar stuff. I remember getting this bulky piece of shit because I wanted it to. It was like the only thing that I could get close to the Xbox controller when I had a PS3, and it had all these weird gimmicks. This is why I think that some of this stuff is stupid. It had adaptive vibrations. It wasn't good. Remind you, this was PS3 generation, okay? I get it. There's steps up. They've gotten better with how they do things. But it irritated the shit out of me because I couldn't I was so annoyed having it vibrate at random times. It was ridiculous. Or like things like they had, like for me, I never bought an Xbox Elite controller because for me, I didn't need all these adjustable things. They were cool. Like when you guys talked about, I could adjust my triggers, I could adjust a whole bunch of stuff on them. It was neat. But for me, it's like, I'm playing the fucking game. I'm not playing the game for the use of the controller. I'm playing the game to play the game. And I get what you're saying. I understand that you need that new factor. But to me, I'm not looking for the new factor in the controller. I really don't give a shit. If it works well for me, I just want the console to show me something new. I want the games to show me something new. I don't buy a console. I'm not like, man, you know what? I'm glad I'm buying this $600 console for my fucking controller and nothing else.
But the controller is where everything is inputted. It's a key part in what makes the console and what it's like to play a video game.
Yeah, but I just don't think that the small things they added for the PS4 controller make it revolutionary in its newness.
The feeling of touch in my hand is pretty mediocre. I can still use it. I wouldn't even need that. Like, I could just feel heat with my hand. I don't even need touch, and it'd still work the same.
I'm trying to see if it's sarcastic or not.
Peter, my point was I had the gimmick. And then it got old, and I stopped using it.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt that. But like I said, it's for that initial. It helps me not feel remorse about my purchase. Buyer's regret. I think that's the term.
Yeah, but again, it depends where they're putting their eggs in their basket. To me, I like it. Again, they didn't do enough to the PS4 controller to make it, PS5 controller to make it different. Now. What? The PS3? No.
The
PS5 controller is way different.
It is the most substantial difference in PlayStation history.
That might be it.
What?
No, it's actually true.
Google an image, a picture of all the controllers.
They've changed
Jarrod,
a lot.
Jarrod, your statement has
here's my question then, Peter. Is it more that they changed the look of it and you're just utilizing other factors to say that it's new? Or is it the fact that they changed it so drastically in the look that you're like, ooh, it's new, shiny, cool? So what if they were to change, like, the thing you gotta risk is, like, if something works well and you don't touch it until it becomes an issue. Like, I'll go back to your EA example. It's finally become an issue where people are pissed at EA. Okay, so I bet you going forward, like I said, the NHL game was quite a bit of different stuff in it. Like the Be a Pro was so different from past NHL games, it was stupid. Like it was such a different gap difference. They improved it heavily. But it's like, if it becomes an issue, okay, change it. But when have you heard someone complain about the Xbox controller?
And I know I agree they should have used the same framework. It's just slight improvements, right? And they did
I need an example, because it's hard for me to see it, because I don't know what they could actually do to this controller to add a gimmick to it.
Well, that's not my fucking problem. That's Xbox's problem. I don't know what they do, but that's what I would have liked to see.
But you want it, damn it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's up to them to do their research, what people want, what games coming out could use. But it's that innovative thinking that PlayStation displayed with their controller that I'm a little bit jealous of. Like,
okay, so to me, what they did. See, I see what you guys mean. Sorry, I forgot what the PS4 controller actually looked like. I thought they did a bigger gap difference between the PS3 and PS4, but it was PS4 to PS5. In all fairness, that's a good point. To me, they made it look like the Xbox controller.
Yeah, no, I can agree.
So isn't that flattery? Isn't that them saying that they've made it look like a superior controller? So it's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're asking a controller that they clearly designed this thing after to improve itself beyond what another console designed their control to be like.
So that's right. Xbox is being left behind. They needed to do the one-up as well. That's what I'm saying.
I just don't know what they could do to this, because if you added vibrations and trigger alternating triggers, that'd be nothing for me. I'd probably try to turn it off immediately.
You're saying you don't like how the way fucking gravel will feel in your hands. Whatever. Like, what I think of haptic vibration, I think to the first time I tried playing a Switch, and we played 1-2 Switch, and there's the one mini game where you have to rotate the Joy-Con to see how many balls are in a box, and it was really accurate and super cool. And that was a very memorable thing in my mind, thinking, wow, this is a cool thing in this new console. Xbox just didn't even bother trying with anything like that.
Okay, so, but this is where my point of it makes it harder on games comes through. Because I'm going to give you an exact example with the Switch. You just talked about how accurate they are with that. Play Surgeon Simulator when you have the Joy-Cons not attached to the console, trying to manipulate the hand, it is so shitty. Like, me and Bobby got it because we were like, oh, this will be fun, because I played Surgeon Simulator on PC. It was a fun time. It was whatever, and we're in the health field, so it's kind of cool to do stuff. But for me, it ran so poorly, we had to turn it off. And this is coming, she came to me and she was like, is this really, like, is this the best? And she doesn't game. I just want to point that out. Bobby does not game, and she literally said, is this the best that they could do? And so to me, it's like, I get what you're saying. You need those little things. It's there. People are going to like them, right? Like, people are going to really enjoy the sense of vibrations. The thing is that it puts more effort on the companies around it. And yes, they do have to adapt, because consoles, it's not new. The thing that the game is running on dictates what the game needs to do. Right? Like, the game needs to basically mold itself around what it's being made for. But I get that they need something new. I just don't know what they could do new, and I don't think what PlayStation did is enough for me to do that, because that's motion control. That's not vibration. That's not smart vibration.
No. That the haptic feedback. That's what that is. That's not motion.
Yeah. So I mean, you could add haptic feedback to this, but then what? The next complaint would have been, oh, Xbox is copying PS4.
I
guarantee you, I can almost guarantee you, I've been in enough like arguments in technology to know that no matter how Xbox went about changing this, you would have either said that they copied PlayStation or that they didn't change it enough.
I disagree.
Because you haven't had a PlayStation 4, so it's newer to you.
No, it's the technology. It's this, like, I guarantee, like, with the console, the new Xbox, whenever I get it and I boot it up, I can guarantee you there's going to be a little sigh of disappointment for me as I boot up the same screen I've been looking at for the past 4 or 5 years.
That's fair. But I will defend Xbox slightly here. They tried to make it, I think it comes down to how easy it is to transition, because they're doing that 2-year gap thing, right? They're doing your Xbox is still relevant for about 2 more years before games become just made for the Series X. I think that's what they were doing. Yes, I agree with you. I love new UIs. Like, I like just how they look. I don't really care. I did not like the original Xbox UI when they launched it. It was very poorly received. And this one that they updated even on this console looks way more vivid and pretty than the one prior to it. And I get what you're saying for that. That I can agree with, because UIs you can change. But I think they were trying to show that people who didn't want to buy the new console, they're trying to show that it's like, you're not outdated. You're not, we're not. They're trying to make it more bringing those closer together, closing that gap, which it can be a mistake in its own, because people can perceive that differently, right? But I just think, like, I get, because haptic feedback is really cool, and games that utilize it really well is awesome. Like, it's a really cool feature to have. But just with the controller, like, I know that new aspect. I just don't know what they could have added to this that wouldn't have either infringed on their Elite controller, or would have made it a good enough quality thing to change. And again, like you said, that's their problem, not ours. Like, maybe make my controller light up with colors. Like, can I make my controller
exactly
like colorful? Like, can I, because like, for example, there used to be that controller I told you about that was like the same design as the Xbox one for my PS3. You could have the buttons would illuminate when it was on, like the triangle, square, X, and circle would illuminate, and it was kind of cool. Like, it was appealing. So things like that I could see, but I just think functionality wise, like, a controller like this, yes, haptic feedback's cool, but it comes to a point where I might as well just get a controller that's made for what it's trying to do. So when it comes to, like, a VR setup where it's like, now I'm actually in control this way and moving more haptic feedback ways. Eric, are you okay?
Hey. My sister's dog and cat got in a fight, and it scared the shit out of the cat. So I had to, like, make sure he was okay, and then he hid, and I couldn't find him for a bit. But we're all fine. It's all good.
Okay. That's good, as long as everyone's okay.
I'm not okay.
Yeah, I just had to make sure the kitty was good.
But yeah, no, Peter, I understand. Like, I understand where you're coming from. As a consumer, where it's like you want new things, I understand where you're coming from. I just don't see that they did enough for it to say that it was new enough. Like, the design is different, and I was looking at, I forgot what the PS4 controller looked like. I didn't realize they kept the same general design. I thought they had updated that design earlier, and they just changed some of the features on it. But they did update the design to make it look more like the current Xbox controller. But again, like Grayden said, there's been times where I've used features and it's just been like a useless feature. I'd rather them just not have it. And then
I just think that Xbox, like, if I were Xbox and I wanted to put a new feature like haptic feedback into my controllers, I go to my studio heads that I now all own, like, hey, George, Mary, and Beth, guess what? In the next gen, fucking haptic feedback. So make sure to include that shit. I'm talking to you, Beth. Like, just do shit like that, you know? Like, they have all the studios they own. Like, it's
to me it depends.
Developers, sure, but like,
to me it depends on they could be doing that. They could have just been focusing on different things in the time of launch. So they could be designing a controller that's going to be the same price as the current controller, that's going to replace it and supersede it.
That'd be a fucked up decision. That they would have fucked. If they do, Microsoft, you have my disrespect if you do that.
So what you're saying is you don't want them to improve their controller?
No, I know. My whole argument is that I want them to improve the controller. The controller is fine, but it would have been nice to have a little bit new things. What's the point of releasing a controller with new features midway in the generation?
From what I've seen from the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons and their HD Rumble, haptic feedback and stuff like that is nothing but a gimmick. The controller that the Xbox has, I'd say, is one of the best feeling controllers out there. And in terms of like just how it performs, I'd say the Xbox outperforms the PS5, and it's just like little slidey shit and whatever microphone in the controller. Like, those are things I don't care about. If the controller feels good and does its job, that's what I care about.
Thank you. But that's exactly what we've been saying this whole time. And Peter's like, I like the little haptic feedback. But I said, my example was Surgeon Simulator, Eric, where it's like the haptic feedback when you didn't have the Joy-Cons attached to it was shit. Your hand rotating was fucked up. Like, I'd be holding it. You'd align them. and then I'd move it, and all of a sudden my hand was was not oriented with the controller anymore, so I had to reorient it, and then I'd have to go again, and then I'd do something and unorient itself. It's like haptic feedback is not. It's a gimmick. It's right now. It's a gimmick.
Also, Peter, just like in that specific argument, I don't think a lot of Xbox users want the motion controls. I don't think that's what they play it for.
No. I'm just saying that, like, I agree that these things are just gimmicked, are not going to be widely used. I totally agree with that, but it adds to the new factor, and I just think that Xbox is so lacking on the new factor that even if it was just haptic feedback or the adapted triggers PlayStation has, it's just enough to cause people to get excited to want to try it out. Like think of how the Wii had Wii Sports. That was your way to experience all the novel stuff the Wii had to offer. PlayStation 5 is doing the exact same thing with the Astro game it comes with. And it's people love it. People are like, wow, this is cool. I can totally see these features not being widely used, but it adds to that day one amazement of, wow, this is new technology. Wow, my $600 was well spent.
Which you can get
as a consumer,
controller.
As a consumer, this is my question. As a consumer, are you happy that you're being sold on a gimmick that you probably won't use?
It depends how the initial reception to the gimmick is.
Because, like, again, it's like, I don't know. I guess Wii was unique in the fact that it launched kind of the first big, motion control experience, I guess, would be like the thing, like for console
motion controls.
Yeah, like it was the first one to really engage it. That was their gimmick. That was the Wii itself. Like and then the Joy-Cons tried to like build on that. They changed this design, the shape of it, but they didn't change really what they did. They made them a little more diverse, but let's be honest, the Wii controller could use some diversification. It was a great controller for its time, but it definitely could use some diversification. It's pretty blocky. Like the PlayStation, they've incorporated motion controls, and they've started, like, even in PlayStation 3, they tried to start incorporating that as they went. And I was like, it's okay. Again, this is coming from, because I actually, like, I had it when they first started introducing these gimmicks, right? So to me, the gimmicks you're saying that PlayStation 4 has are gimmicks that kind of improved on features the PlayStation already had. So maybe that's why, to me, it's not as much of a wow factor. But, like, to me, it's like, I'm with Erik. Like, if I'm going to be using, for example, if you're using a tilt or like anything like that, the biggest thing you're going to probably use that for is maybe changing how you look at an image in a game, or maybe if you're in a driving game, you can use the tilt to turn the vehicle. But at that point, I'm going to buy a fucking steering wheel, because to me, that's a better experience than trying to tilt my controller. There's just other ways to go about it. Like I said, you can aesthetically change something. Like, again, make the buttons light up when the controller's on, but then you shorten the battery life of the controller, which would be another issue people would complain about. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I get what you're saying. I do. I get that new factor is important. Well, I just don't think for this specific area they have enough stuff in the console that Microsoft is introducing outside of the console hardware.
Peter, let me pitch this to you. I'm going to apply to both sides of your brain here. So on one side, you're the consumer, and you just get this bland controller, and you're like, well, that's kind of lame. I want the new stuff. But then on this side, you own the business, and you're like, why am I giving away something for free when I could make them pay an extra $100 and get everything that they want?
No, I understand what you're saying, but like, no. But...
The other thing that I want to point out is, again, I'm going to bring back this glorious godsend of a controller. I've had it since launch. I am so happy that I've had this controller since launch and it still functions well, that I'm just excited that they make good quality controllers that last. Right? Like, to me, I'd rather something be durable, but that's always been my mandate with, like, when I look at, like, so for example, building my PC. Like, the way they sell big PCs already built is the funky lights that show up inside the glass case. That's how people love. They're like, I want mine to be pretty. I want mine to fucking function well, and 100%. Like, I'd rather a thing that looks bland but is functioning extraordinarily well than something that looks new and falls apart.
Well, falls apart. No,
I'm seeing it now. Like, Microsoft is almost taking an Apple approach, where it's like the jump from iPhone 11 to 12 isn't like huge and significant, and like you can't really see or like feel the difference when you get that new phone. But it's like the stuff underneath where like that it's still an improvement, a significant improvement from the last one, and that there's stuff that's different. It's just you can't like really palpably feel it in your hands or see it in the same way. It's kind of like more a under the hoods type of an improvement, as opposed to like you got a brand new muscle car. Like that's kind of what PS4 is doing or PS5 is doing. It's like you get a brand new sports car. Look at how cool and slick it looks and all the cool things it can do. Well, with Xbox, it's kind of like going from a Jeep to a newer Jeep. It's like, yeah, it's better, but it's still a Jeep.
You're definitely right, but like I would say that's a bit different because phones release once a year. I have more expectations of a new generation of console just because of the weight and the hype and just
Well, I was going to say you could have improvements. Like Erik said, their stick sensitivity could be better. The buttons react could be better. But if you said that to someone, if you're like, "Oh, the stick reacts 5 milliseconds in like this many seconds or something," it's no different than you have to dumb it down for consumers. Then you have to pick and choose. Then you have to pick and choose what you want to emphasize on and what you don't want to emphasize on. Right? Like that's just how it comes down to. And you're going to, no matter how you what you emphasize, you're going to miss a targeted population, right? Like there's going to be people who, whatever you decide to focus on in your new thing, people are going to be happy, but then there's going to be that population that's like, well, this is stupid, right? Like it's like, I just don't think, I think, again, I'm a functionality person. I'd rather have something function extremely well than have a new gimmick. Because to me, new gimmicks, and this is why I'm always tentative to buy new consoles on launch, is because there's always issues.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Like you may not get the issue console, you may not get the issue gimmick, you may luck out and get the good thing because it's not going to be all of them having the same issue. The odds of every console having the same issue on launch, unless it's like a hardware thing, or not a hardware thing, a program thing, is pretty slim. Right? So
they would have fucked up real hard on quality assurance if that was
like having a program issue where you coded something, there's like an error in the code. Okay, you can send an update out and fix that, right? Like that's whatever. It's shitty because people will be pissed at you about it. And as usual, consumers will be like, give me something for this inconvenience you've done to me. But if something functions well for me, I'd rather. But it's kind of how I am in my life in general. I'm a functional thing versus new look, because that's how I am with. That's how I talk to. I mean, again, it's quite different. But like, if you do like functional fitness versus specific training in fitness, right? Like you can become a power lifter and emphasize lifting heavy weights, but the amount of injuries that result from that will hurt you down the road. Whereas doing functional fitness, you can generally benefit yourself overall and be healthy. It just, to me, functionality is more important. I'd rather something be functionally well than a new gimmick that could go wrong. Like if it's a cool gimmick, awesome, sweet. But if you don't think you can produce a gimmick that's new enough and good for your product, don't even do it. Because to me, then you're just wasting your time and you open more room for error.
I feel like Xbox knows that they're lacking on the new department. That's why they really nailed the unboxing experience of the Xbox Series X. Way, way better than the PlayStation 5. But I just think that adding, even if it's just a whatever gimmick, even just for that marketing value, to get people excited about something new. I don't think they should have changed the design of the controller at all. But even if it's something small, I think they should have done a little bit more.
I can't argue with that. I guess that, yeah, like...
You got a share button.
Oh, now I don't have to tap my Xbox button. I'll use the share button, absolutely, but it...
Yeah, like, I'm happy about it. But see, if anything, I think what I would have liked is, like, some buttons back here, like, some back buttons. That would have been a cool improvement for me. Some, like, back paddles where, like, for driving games, or like even if that's how you prefer to shoot in games or something. Like, I wish they would have
like with what Grayden was saying earlier with like the Elite controller, like launching a year later. I think that's too intimidating for the general public. I think that's like, holy fuck, there's too many buttons now.
Well, I think it depends on who you're coming from. Like because look at some of the mice, like the PC mice, right? Where it's like some of them, like even my mouse has like a few extra buttons that I never use, and when I accidentally hit them, it kind of irritates me because it does something I didn't want it to do. And it's like I use some of them for like when I'm in Photoshop or Premiere Pro, I have buttons that are synced for certain things just to make it streamline my process. But like some of those controllers have like a fucking number pad on the side of them, and you're trying to like, I don't know. I think you're generally right, Peter, but I think it wasn't too bad. I think it catered to that population that wanted to take it to that were more serious about gaming. I don't think I agree it didn't really cater to the general population. But if you are a gamer, something like that is pretty appealing. I see where Grayden says it's like Xbox gives a lot of stuff, and not for free. There's always a side to it. They have their ways of making money. Every company does, but they do a lot of stuff where it's like, pay for this, you get a lot of things that I can kind of understand. That it's like, hey, here, have a controller. One thing they could have done, if I'm being honest here, is they could have maybe not the new like Elite Controller 2. But maybe have like an adapted Elite Controller 1 that came on launch with the console. You know, to give gamers an Elite controller that they can use. Because you can pretty much dumb down the Elite controllers to a regular controller, right? Like you can take everything off of it to make it just like a...
Even if the new controllers just came with the Elite thumbsticks that like snap, even that would have been enough for me. I would have been totally happy with that.
That's what I was thinking earlier. Like the thumbsticks are really nice, and being able to switch them in and out.
See, and that's where I kind of like, because the option alternative to that is to get those like fucking covers that you can put on top of them to use. That's why I was saying, like, I could have seen them doing something like that with the controller, like taken aspects of their Elite controller and added them to their normal controller, and I think that would have been a great idea. But
again,
yeah,
from
I don't know.
Standpoint, that takes away from the Elite controller.
But then, see, that's when you up the standards on the Elite controller.
Yeah, it's tough because it's like it's playing that fine line. It's trying to appeal to as many people as you can, and you know it's a hit and miss kind of thing. Because like for me, like you said, like the PS4 controller did something new, or PS5 controller did something new, but the stuff they added to it, I give two fucks about. I get that it's that new factor, but I just don't care about it, right?
See, like I'm really curious about the adaptive triggers. Like if it is what people say it is, I'm very curious to try it.
But like I said, that'd be cool for games that you're trying to really emphasize the realism in them. But you're gonna piss off a lot of Call of Duty players that are like, "Fuck, my rocket launcher didn't."
Well, because it's not like it changes the game. It's not like it changes what you're doing. It just changes how it feels.
Yeah, but it's like,
I don't know.
I don't know what it feels like in real life. They could have completely bullshitted me. I've never launched a rocket launcher.
Well,
they could easily have put like anything to like, hey guys, I picked up my mug today slightly harder than I did the other day. Let's make that the rocket launcher trigger.
All right, Jarrod, have you ever swung in a large stick compared to a small stick? Can you relate to that? So yeah, that's what that triggers would do. Swinging a small stick would feel much lighter compared to swinging a large stick weapon would feel heavier.
Yeah, but the other thing you got to take in consideration is that your brain is not stupid. Like your brain, like for example, I'm trying to explain something. No, Peter, I'm trying to explain something to you.
Wait,
I'm trying.
Brain tricked. Magic.
That's not.
My cones can't absorb this.
I don't have enough.
See, you try to explain something to Peter, and he just doesn't want to listen to it when he knows he's wrong.
It's not gonna trick your brain, Jarrod.
No, what I'm trying to say, Peter, is like you can only make something feel so like something else. All they'd have to do is have a range of differences for everything, and you could automatically say they've done their job. Because your body you're talking about controlling like a stick versus a larger stick. I'm not talking about how much strength it takes to do it. That's not what I'm referring to. You have proprioceptive feedback. Like your body, what I'm saying is like your body identifies swinging a stick not just because of muscles being used, but because of proprioceptive feedback
itself,
and how your body it takes that sensory information and applies it to what is happening. So again, unless you've done
you get a
something
splinter from a controller, no, you can only get a splinter from really throwing the stick.
You know, that's true.
All right.
I think
you know what? You know what? Honestly, like I'm just trying to make a point here related to this, and I'm done with my point. You're right, Peter. The PS5 is a far superior console, and Sony is the best thing to ever have graced God's green earth with its inventiveness.
Only when I can get splinters while gaming is when I'll be happy.
That's not even what proprioceptive feedback is.
Splinter Cell.
No wonder Jarrod liked it. It responds to the brain so well.
So it's good to know Peter's getting a PS5.
Just the
controller. Hell yeah. I will say, I still am not a huge fan of how the PS5 looks, just as personal preference. I don't like that it, like...
stands out.
It's got a collar. It's like... I don't like that. I don't like that shit. I honestly really like the look of the Xbox One X, just how... It's just... It's a fucking tower. That's all it is. It's clean, it's simple.
Well, I'm sure...
Doesn't have... popped collars.
I do like the PlayStation looks futuristic, but I do totally get what you mean.
It looks breakable to me.
It depends on your personality. Because it's like if people like, I like things looking really sharp and clean and like fit well, but I'm really OCD about that. So to me, I don't like the design of the PlayStation because it just doesn't look clean to me.
Yeah, I have a shelf that like where my current Xbox is, it's going to fit so perfectly with the height, and or at least I think it will, so that there's still enough room for airflow and venting, and like it'll look perfect right where it will be.
Yeah,
like symmetry is too. Symmetry is important for me. It's why my PC screen setup here, having one smaller than the other, really fucking drives me insane all the time.
I have one size monitor on the left, another on the right, and then a really small one on the right. So yeah, there's no symmetry. It's what I have.
See, but I feel like you're not OCD about that stuff.
No, I don't give a fuck. Does it work? See, I'm functional, Jarrod.
No, but I'm like saying, like, look at your kitchen. Like, when it's always dirty when we go over, right?
But is it functional?
Fucking
no. No. When you have dishes piled on top of each other in your sink and it's overflowing the sink, it is not functional.
I'm just trying to get my Jenga game on point.
But like, my point is like, that's why different personalities can appeal. Because like, someone could just, it's the way, if you're OCD about like cleanliness or like having things fit certain ways, usually shapes that are easily fit that category would be a better fit for you. You'd find it more appealing. Like, I'm with Erik. I find the Xbox far more appealing. I don't like that there's too much going on. It's why it's like, I don't like Alienware PC cases, because they do some fucking weird shit with their design that it just doesn't appeal to me, but I'm sure it appeals to other people.
I'm fine with the Xbox design, but
I like that they emphasized airflow. Like, they really emphasized airflow for cooling down.
I'm disappointed I won't be able to keep mine upwards. I don't even think mine's going to fit in my media stand, so we'll see what the fuck I do with it in general.
Yeah, I don't think mine is either.
Just have to make some adjustments if you wanted that.
Does your stand have the ability to like take shelves in and out of it?
Just the one.
See, that would be ideal to have one that you can like adjust the shelf heights on, so you can make it work. Because when it's standing up, like, apparently it's perfect ventilation. It pulls in and shoots out, so that's unfortunate. I'm sure it'll still be really good. Like, the vent is huge on both sides, right?
It still works, like, regardless of if you put it up or down. But like, I feel like they designed it intending to be up.
Yeah,
it looks a lot more clunkier to me when it's down. That's for sure.
Yeah,
it doesn't look nearly as good.
They had those IGN setups they were showing, and I was like, Some of them had it standing up, some of them had it laying down, and I was like, "Ooh, that doesn't look good. Turn it back. Change your setup so
Yeah.
that this works the
Yeah.
proper way, please."
All right, guys, we're like half an hour over our limit.
Jesus.
Oh shit!
I just had to yell about controllers for an extra half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
You're very passionate about controllers, Peter. I've noticed that.
Well, it's that's what I was saying is that like it's how you
Oh.
input everything, right? It's such a to me it's such
Yeah.
a fundamental part to playing a game. Like same way how mouse and keyboard feels different.
I mean, you're right. And that's what I'm saying. Is just I think out of all the controllers, the Xbox One controller, or even the 360, feels so perfect in your hand that like when you hold a 360 controller, it's like coming home. You know, it just feels natural.
I haven't held a 360 controller in I don't even know how long.
Hey,
You just
ergonomics
pick one
is
up,
important.
feel that curve in your hand right into your palm, and it's like, oh, that's the good shit.
I was gonna make more comments to make Jarrod mad, but I'll spare him.
Oh, generous.
Jared's already mad.
I know he's already mad. If you want to see Jarrod get
He's no
mad some
longer
more,
bouncing. He's just like rocking in his chair now.
No, I
With all
always
his
do that
balls.
because I need to do something. I'm too antsy all the time.
Okay,
That's why I like
bye-bye.
my ball, because I can bounce on it when I'm doing stuff.
are we just we're live connection, stream twice a week, Sunday and Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Well, we were saying bye. I was like,
Bye.
all right,
Yeah.
speed run.
I was just copying Grayden. I thought we were like doing a weird stretch.
Yeah, you gotta get that wrist
I
movement.
hate
movement in there.
when I stretch weird like that. And people are like, hi. I'm like, I'm just stretching. Fuck off.
Go away, loser.
All right, but yeah, live connection, stream twice a week, Thursday and Sunday, variety channel, Discord, social links, all below. I'm Peter, Jarrod, Erik, Grayden. Have a good Sunday.
Boom.
No,
Bang.
how do you say
Bam.
boom backwards? That's what I should say ending it.
Moob?
Moob.
Ooh.
I'm not saying that. Fuck that.